Grandmother Wanjiru told stories the way other people breathed softly, steadily, as if the words had always been waiting inside her. Every evening, when the sun slid behind the blue hills and the goats settled, the children gathered at her feet. She sat on her wooden stool, a shawl wrapped around her shoulders, eyes bright in the firelight. "Tonight," she would say, "I will tell you about tomorrow." The first time it happened, no one noticed. She told a simple story about a lost calf that wandered into the river reeds and was found at dawn, muddy but alive. The next morning, old Mugo's calf disappeared. By sunrise, it was pulled from the reeds, shivering exactly as she had described. People laughed it off. "Coincidence," they said. Then Grandmother Wanjiru told a story about rain, unexpected rain in the dry season, falling hard enough to wake sleeping seeds. The next day, clouds rolled in like tired travelers, and rain soaked the cracked earth. Farmers stood stunned in their fields. That was when people started listening carefully. Her stories were never dramatic. No kings, no wars. Just ordinary things: broken sandals mended by a stranger, a quarrel ending in laughter, a child finding courage during a school assembly. And each morning, the village woke to find her words stitched into reality. Some began to fear her. "Tell us a story about wealth," a man begged one night. "Tell us about enemies leaving," another demanded. But Grandmother Wanjiru shook her head. "Stories are not commands," she said gently. "They are whispers." One evening, her granddaughter Akinyi noticed something strange. The grandmother paused longer than usual before speaking. "Tonight," she said slowly, "I will tell a story about silence." The children leaned closer. She told of a village that stopped listening to the old, to the young, to the quiet warnings in their hearts. In the story, nothing terrible happened. Life simply became empty. People spoke, but meaning slipped away. Laughter sounded hollow. Akinyi felt a chill. The next day, the village woke restless. Conversations felt strained. Arguments started over nothing. People spoke louder, but understood less. By evening, everyone was exhausted. That night, Akinyi knelt beside her grandmother. "Why that story?" she asked. Grandmother Wanjiru smiled sadly. "Because tomorrow always begins with today's listening." Her final story came weeks later. She spoke of a grandmother whose stories slowly faded, but whose listeners learned to tell them instead stories of kindness, care, and attention to small things. The next morning, Grandmother Wanjiru did not wake. But that day, a neighbor returned a borrowed tool without being asked. Children helped an elder cross the road. A long-standing feud ended with a handshake. The village realized then, the stories were still coming true. They always would, so long as someone remembered to tell them wisely.